Welcome to another episode of my podcast That's Fine With Me. Today we're going to be talking about capitalism, influencers, Devil Wears Prada, and somewhere in between we're going to answer one of the most important questions. Why am I poor and my favorite influencer is rich? We're getting started. I wanted to start this podcast with very interesting idea of the fact that sometimes we just want to support a favorite influencer or celebrity by buying their lip oil or maybe purchasing a coffee or I don't know, something that is a little bit out of the budget, a little bit extra expensive, but at the same time, we're kind of supporting favorite person. But then we're looking in the account, we're checking the money, and we have debts, or we don't have money to waste or spend because we spend some extra buck on support. And don't really get me wrong, every single person has a right to spend their hard-earned money the way they want to spend it. I'm not judging anyone. And at the same time, I totally get the fact that a lot of the times influencers, they try to live their life, maybe not a lavish lifestyle. And I totally get when influencers try to insert some links or commercials in their videos, podcast, and content in general. I totally get it. There's a difference between a greedy type of influencer and some influencers that are given some genuine recommendations. If there's still any influencer out there who is pretty much genuine, though I do believe that there's still a lot of people out there that can be honest about things they really like and they support. But let me get straight to business. What is capitalism? What is capitalism in a classic understanding? This is economic system based on free market ownership, and the main goal is infinite profit. What does it really mean? For example, I'm a company that has a vacuum cleaner and I want to sell this vacuum cleaner and you are the owner of a dirty carpet. And we're like, okay, this is going to be beneficial for both of us because you're going to get a product and I'm going to give you money. But in 2026, most likely this model is not going to work this really easy way because we have a market full of products where it's too much of everything. And the only way to sell you some stuff and get any sort of profit, there's going to be an update in capitalism, which is called parasocial capitalism. When influencers figure this out, and a lot of big brands there figure this out, if you trust a person and if you bond with this person, then it's most likely you're gonna buy from this person. And of course, in 2000s, there were probably celebrities going in different commercials and showing some stuff, but people, they were like a little bit still skeptical because every single celebrity tried to get involved in a commercial and earn a coin. And in a modern society, it's not enough to be just a celebrity. You have to create a bond to sell a coffee, to sell a lip balm, or anything like this. You have to know that maybe you grew up with this person, you feel connection, and parasocial, let's say, behavior is starting to form. And of course, we're going to get started with Devil Wears Prada 2006, the first part of Devil Wears Prada. Do you remember when Andy, she was laughing at the point where they couldn't decide on the color of the sweater, or not the sweater, but the color of the belt? And then Miranda Priestley, she said, that is an illusion if you think that you picked up this, let's call it, ugly sweater by yourself. Because in my opinion, and not only my opinion, whenever any fashion designer, fashion, I'd say, guru, surrounded by other fashion people, they try to decide what's going to be really cool and trendy this season. They automatically gift some clothes or probably just share this clothes with celebrities. And person who's watching the celebrity wants to look like a celebrity or just want to be like an influencer. And of course, fast fashion, some like Zara or like Shein or any other brands, they try to create similar looks that it's gonna satisfy a customer with a need to look more or less like their favorite celebrity. In 90s, it was minimal clothes, super sexy. 2000s still were really sexy, but a little bit different. And then 2010 with like skinny jeans and so on and so forth. That is the main reason why Miranda actually was right when she was telling Indy that the sweater that she picked up was created in a room full of people that were behind fashion. When we try to see this from perspective of 2026, the power dynamic has shifted, because in most cases in 2006 in Devil Wears Prada, that was super relevant because the magazine was relevant. It was really, really cool. But right now the format has changed into digital. But when it just was introduced to the digital world, we can see a lot of influencers with their influence, with their opinion, who have no idea about fashion, that probably created their own style, probably help people to save a coin, and that creates a diversity. And that is the main reason why it's so much harder to control right now people in like modern world that have access to social media. And it's really telling when Nigel from, just a small quick spoiler, when Nigel from Devil Wears Prada 2026 was telling that in 2000s I could get a huge budget to create a photo shoot, and we could spend an entire month to create a really beautiful photo, and in 2026 we could be lucky to have a couple of hours in a frozen shop to create content that someone is gonna swipe when they're sitting and peeing. There is a diversity that is different because, well, yeah, they were dominating in the industry when it was 2000s, but right now so much companies have access to influencers and independent media that they don't really have to pay super big Vogue magazine or like Runaway, if we're talking about Devil Wears Prada, in order to promote something. And that is the shift, because this digital, let's say, marketing is now very important, and this is a modern parasocial capitalism. And let me give you a quick example. So in the second part of, let's call it Devil Wears Prada, Emily was talking that every single person wants to be relatable, and at the same time, if you're a content creator, by the way, but at the same time, they want to feel like they mean something. And that is the main reason why a lot of the times bougie products such as Dior and Chanel and, I don't know, Louis Vuitton, they're coming out with fast fashion products, let's say, with a luxury price tag, because you're paying for the logo, and people are willing to pay $3,000 if they have $3,000. But in return, Andy is asking, but like, what if you don't have $3,000 to spend on a bag? And Emily is like, what's Christmas for? I believe a lot of the times companies, they figure this out and they're like, okay, but what if we try to break down the cost of $3,000 bag and try to make it look like people still can be noticeable and they can be relevant, but we're gonna make sure that they're gonna still participate in a real global, let's say, capitalism. So how we're gonna do this, we're gonna break down the cost of this, let's say, Dior or Chanel bag, and put this in a little bit different kind of products. For example, let's just real quick talk about a chocolate. Yeah, the chocolate that is coming from an ordinary brand, or a chocolate that is coming from Mr. Beast, which is pretty much inexpensive in a way, but might be a little bit higher in price than the ordinary chocolate. And to make sure that people can feel this parasocial friendship or just friendship with their favorite content creator, these huge conglomerates, they came out with a brilliant idea that was basically working for them in different magazines when they invested in some shoots, and then they knew that some people are going to buy this luxury product. So what they were doing, they were basically creating the two-face machine, where at some point they have a model number one. This model requires them to hire a very successful content creator like Patrick Starr. And Patrick Starr would say that he has his own company, One Size Beauty. One Size is a very successful brand, and a lot of the times I see positive reviews. I see that people are very satisfied with his products. But then Patrick Starr mentioned a couple of times that he doesn't earn a lot of money from this company. And here's the reason. It's really, really simple. Because he partnered with a huge conglomerate that was called LBP. LBP is a luxury brand partners, which is a conglomerate that takes most likely 70 to 80% of everything, but takes care of each product, takes care of logistics, paying salaries. And Patrick Starr is earning most likely just a commission for his face and for his audience that is definitely promoting this product, and that's pretty much it. Now we have a little bit different kind of story with Emma Chamberlain. While Emma Chamberlain was growing and becoming a super niche person in the industry. Now she is a huge person that works with Vogue, and people, they're obsessed with Emma because they think that she is their friend because they grew up together. Emma likes coffee, I like coffee. Emma was crying in her car, I once cried in my car, and so on and so forth. And Emma, she got a proposal from the Blazer Capital. Blazer Capital is a huge conglomerate or huge company that is basically located in Copenhagen, and it's really interesting. But in her previous vlog or a couple of her videos, she was raving about the oatmeal milk that she really likes, and this is definitely going to be in her coffee shop. And it's really interesting, but this is the same company that is going under the name of Blazer Capital. Not even the name, but it's in the same family group. And that is the main reason why they're building this really huge brand on Emma Chamberlain, and then investing in some small partner companies. They're going to still bring some coin, and Emma is definitely going to use that in her coffee shop. Is it bad or is it not? I don't really think so. But if her, let's say, coffee is almost identical or almost the same as coffee from the next to her coffee shop, then maybe you shouldn't pay too much money for this coffee. But if this is a standard price and you really want to support your favorite influencer, why not? I know for sure one thing: One Size Beauty has positive reviews, and a lot of the times people are like, this is so good, but it's pretty expensive, and I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to buy this product in order to use it because it's going out of my pocket some extra mile. And even if I really like someone, I'm not really sure that I'm willing to support their success in order for me to become a little bit more poor. And I will tell you guys, in most of these situations, the cut these influencers are getting, it's from 15 to 20%. And in most of the times, you're funding these creators because these conglomerates, they're not going to pay from their pockets to pay these influencers. And that is the main reason why sometimes their products, they're way more expensive than a product from Essence or Catrice, because Essence and Catrice, they're not getting this 15 or 20% let's say budget hole onto their customers because they don't have an influencer to sponsor. Most likely they do actually pay for some commercials and whatever, but they don't have to pay the same content creator every single month because they don't have this type of can you imagine, like 15 or 20% of the entire profit is a lot. It's so much cheaper to pay for a commercial than to pay every single month this person from the income that you're getting. But now let's talk about model B. When you are a self-funded independent brand such as Nikki Tutorials and our famous James Charles. So Nikki Tutorials, she mentioned this a couple of times in her channel that she is totally independent. She has no people that invested money, and she started Nemia with her manager, who is VassaOlga. And I'm going to tell you that I have nothing against Nikki Tutorials, but the first launch was typical. And I would say that when I reviewed the ingredient list, still it was typical, but the price was higher than, again, you can go and buy some product from Essence or Catrice if you really need, like, or Nivea products, for example. And then we're going to James Charles. I believe that James Charles, he could take some deal from different brands in order to start his big company, but he has so many scandals, and you know about these scandals, we talked about them in my previous podcast, that it's super risky to invest in this type of influencer because one day he's hyping, the next day he do the same thing that he did last week or like the week before or any other week, and he kind of like ruins the entire brand. That is the main reason why he had to fund himself. And when he had to fund himself, he knew that he needed the loyalty of his subscribers, and most likely those are kids or someone who's under 18. And if they're under 18, most likely they don't really have that much money. So he had to create a really good quality product for a lower price. And while I was reading some comments from Michaela's videos, under Michaela's videos, while I was doing research for today's podcast, some people said like, but why did you use James Charles blush? And another person answered, because the quality is outstanding and the price is super cheap. And the person who asked this question said, yeah, I kind of get it, but the owner is questionable. And they say, we don't really care about the owner, we care about the price, and we care about the quality. So it says it all. If you can produce a really good product that is going to be at a decent price, then you're probably going to win out the loyalty of your customers, which James Charles did in a way. But the problem here that though he has some prices from $12 to $24, it's still super risky for a company to invest. The difference between the first model where Emma Chamberlain and Patrick Starr, they are affiliated to some companies, and Nikki Tutorials and James Charles, is the difference pretty much loud. Now the influencer is saying, I invested my own money, and if it goes down, I go down. It sort of puts some pressure on the customer that like, please support me because I might fail, and if I fail, then most likely just like I'm gonna suffer. And of course, when these influencers, they build this parasocial friendship, when like, please guys, help me out, please do this for me, please do that for me, you're constantly in the position that I should help out James Charles because he cares about me, he's my friend, he's creating content for me, he's asking my opinion, and he's genuinely interested in what I'm thinking, and he might even offer me a job one day, or if I tag him with his product, he might even give me a shout out, and maybe one day I'm going to become famous. Well, this is something that is happening most of the time in the brain of young audience, or just any other person who want to be successful, or just like try to be closer to their favorite influencers. I'm not saying that it's for every single person, but a lot of the times this is the case. And then let's talk about the final model number C, which is pretty much scary. Tati Westbrook and Jaclyn Hill. Jaclyn Hill, she was claiming that Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics was her family brand. She owned this brand, she was the CEO of this brand, and everyone believed her. With a hairy lipstick gate and whatsoever, people still loved her products a little bit later because they changed the lab and everything was fine. But then when Forma declared bankruptcy, they had to show everyone the documents, court documents, and everyone realized that Jaclyn was actually lying. And she was never the CEO, she was never the owner of this company. She was the one and only, like Emma Chamberlain and Patrick Starr, the representative of this brand. So what does it really mean? It means that she had only 15% cut, let's say, from all the sales. And it really worked for some period of time, and they probably offered her to buy out her own company. The only difference is she probably had no money to do so, because Ariana Grande bought out her Ram Beauty from Forma, and she now owns her own brand. Jaclyn Hill said, I'm not interested in brand deals anymore, and I just don't really want to do this, so I shut down my business. And in a way, I feel like even if she wanted to open her own makeup brand once again, it might be problematic, because if she had to buy out her own makeup brand, then it means they might have trademarked her name, Jaclyn Hill name, and she had to buy this out in order to have her own name. And it really happened to Tati Westbrook, and she shared a tea a couple of weeks ago where she said she's going to be launching a new company, but it's not going to be makeup related. And the main reason, because she had a former partner that she had a business with, like Tati Westbrook Beauty, and then she wanted to pivot into a little bit different direction with a little bit different company or conglomerate. And the business partner said, no, you can't do that. If you really want to do this, you have to pay me $9 million. If I'm mistaken, I might be speculating in both cases with Jaclyn Hill and with Tati Westbrook. As far as I can tell, it might be the case. And she has no right, as of today, to have any makeup brand unless she pays out $9 million, and she doesn't have that much money. That is the main reason why she lost a lot of money during the lawsuit that was going for 4 years, and it is the reality. And I'm going to give you a small detail. I watched Netflix. It was a couple of years ago, and the series were called Holston. I really liked Holston, and I didn't know who Holston was, and I believe no one did up until a certain point, if you're not a boomer or maybe the Generation X, because Holston was popular in maybe 60s, 70s, probably 80s and early 90s, but he sold his name to a conglomerate, and when he didn't want to do what they told him to do, they said, we don't really need you, we have your name, and you have no right to produce any type of design clothes because we own your name. And I believe in case of Jaclyn Hill and Tati Westbrook, it happened the same way. They trademarked this makeup brands with their own personal names, and that is the main reason why they have no right to produce makeup in the future until they buy out their own names. And this is scary. This is really, really scary. That is the mere reason why we can see the capitalism in full-blown motion with a parasocial. And trying to answer the same question, why am I poor and my favorite influencer is rich, is super easy. Let's look at Michaela Nogueira. She is teasing people. She's teasing her fans with her relationship, her wedding. She's teasing them with some new launches, her new house, her closet tour, and so many more. It sparks interest. It's giving people a sense we're friends, and she's sharing the small secret with me, so she trusts me. If she trusts me, then probably I should support her in return. As well as James Charles, constantly going and ranting about people who deserves what. He's creating this parasocial friendship when, like, guys, I need your help. I'm creating my own brand and I want you to tell me what is your favorite color. I need your advice. How am I supposed to finish the song? I need your advice to help me out with this conversation. And of course, people, they feel involved. James is caring about us. That is the main reason I'm supporting him in return. This is pretty obvious. That is the main take on the way that dynamic is changing. It shifted and pivoted into a new direction, but at the same time, it stayed the same. Conglomerates, they're earning and profiting from you, using not celebrities this time as they did in early 2000s, but they're using your favorite content creators that came from normal and ordinary people as you are. And as Emma Chamberlain, she was growing with you, and now she is super popular, and you just want to feel a little bit closer to her when you drink her coffee, when you leave a comment, when you buy from her stores. I don't know, but is it bad or is it not? I would say that it's depending on if you really love the quality of the product and you haven't found anything like, I would say, Nivea lip gloss. You really love a lip gloss and you can afford this lip gloss. It's not going to hit you really hard financially. Then go ahead and support Ninja Tutorials. I don't really mind. If you love James Charles and you really want to support James Charles, this is your choice. I'm not going to sit and pretend like, don't do that. Don't do this. It's more about the understanding. It's really funny because, real quick story, it's not related to any content creation, whatever. I know a person who has a salary, but this person is the owner of a company, and the salary can be different depending on the income. And in a couple of 2 months, the income was not stable. And this person goes and sells her gold bracelet to buy a new iPhone and to gift this new iPhone to her daughter because her daughter is finishing school. So my question, she got into a lot of debts. She sold her gold bracelet and she has no money right now to go with her dog and do some medicine because her dog in a really bad shape. He has some problems with kidneys. So my question, was it worth it? If you know that you cannot afford it, what is a necessity to buy a new iPhone? I know you're proud of your daughter and it's really cool, but at the same time, in 2 or 3 years, this iPhone is going to be old and you're probably going to be buying a new one. And right now, you're dealing with debts, you're dealing with the problem health issues of your dog, just in order to buy things that you can't afford. This is a real problem of 2026. This is a real problem of the United States, in my opinion, because most likely, I see that in the United States, people, they don't really have savings, not because the economy is hard. No, this is hard. The economy is really hard. I'm not blaming every single person, but sometimes I see certain influencers or certain people going about their day and saying, oh, I spend some money on Gucci. I spend some money on a milkshake that I can't afford, this and that, and I'm in debt. Because people, they stopped thinking about their future. They stop thinking that they can't afford it. They just need this sense of positive belonging to their favorite celebrity or influencer just for the moment, and to feel like they have money to support them even if they don't. And I would say that there's still a lot of people that are conscious about their spendings, but at the same time, I would say this is more likely a problem of a young generation and maybe Gen Z, maybe even Alpha right now, where I'm willing to become not even poor, but like get in some debts and support someone just to show this my Instagram profile, and maybe my favorite influencer is going to tag me or give me a quick shout out, and that's going to help out. Is it going to help? I don't know. But at the same time, before you invest your money into something that is questionable and you cannot afford it, it's not about the question that if you want to afford and you want to support someone, go ahead and do that. But if you can't and you're still doing this, maybe you should think a little bit longer. I love you all so much, and I'll see you in my next podcast. That's fine with me. Bye-bye.